All right, we're up. Probably 13 different streams going on in the house right now, so I don't know if we're going to be buffering or what, but we're up. So the plan tonight is to work on a 266 crankcase. Now, there are some interesting issues here that have been brought up by a few people. So let's good. James is here. This is good. There's been a few issues brought up, so we got to talk about that. But I think I'm going to put this whole thing together basically as it was sent to me, but there are some issues with that. So brought up here so I can see what's going on. Hey, Cody. Really need that. Okay. So I can look on my screen here and see what you guys are saying. So, where to start? I want to put this together stock. So this is the PTO side. The other side is actually, but there's a few interesting things. Hey Dan, good to see you. There's a few interesting things here that I'm mulling over in my brain. One of them is that on both of these, hey Tim. Both of these crankcases, the bearings kind of go, they can slide all the way through. There's no positive stop. So you need to figure that out, and we can work on that on this one, and then we'll play with the other side, because there are actually stops. The oiler and the seal holder appear to be stops. So we will definitely fiddle with that. This is not cleaned fully yet, so let's get it there. But the other thing that I noticed, this the stud, the bar stud, is slightly canted. So I need to actually move that. And the way to do it, really, is to take two nuts and jam them against each other. I'm actually going to take two bar nuts and jam them up against each other, just theoretically. Okay. Now you should be able to turn one if they're jammed, and to actually rotate that. You know what? It'd be easier to do too. Make my life a little bit easier. Tap it that way, and then rotate it. Aha! You just do it by hand. There you go. Don't even necessarily need the bar studs. Now I should be able to tap it back down. Yep. Because that's rounded, I want to put the rounded sides over there, so should be able to rotate this. So that's already, that's flush down there, and now that's sitting properly. Okay, so now I can undo this. And this is kind of like the stupid little stuff on these that can make a bit of a difference, you know, on a build. It just nicens it up a little bit, you know. Every time you do little things like that, it takes an extra few minutes, but okay, Tim, take your time, buddy. We're not going anywhere. Next thing I got to do here is shine this up a little bit with some Scotch-Brite. Put this away for the moment. So I just, now, theoretically you're supposed to have a, but I just use Scotch-Brite. You don't want to dig into the metal. You just want to pretty it up a little bit. Shiny metal is always nice. And there's our shiny metal. Now, one consideration before you put these crankcase halves together is the fact that we have a two-piece ignition. You can convert this over to single-piece ignition, but apparently there's a whole lot more involved than I originally thought, because it, and Joe Piper was talking to me about this, and we were kind of mulling it over a bit, and it's possible that if you use a single piece ignition, that ignition has different timing with the flywheel, which means then you can't just change out the flywheel, you have to change out the crank and the flywheel. So you need a different case half for single piece ignition. You need a different crank, a 272 crank, a 272 flywheel. So case half, crank, flywheel, 272 ignition coil, and then also a different air conductor, I think. So there's a bunch to consider there if you're going to do that, and I'm hoping that on this one we're just going to use the two-piece ignition and it'll be fine. Good. Okay. Over here it looks like this surface could use a little bit of a shine. Looks like something's a little funky. I think something was funky in this from the factory. That's funky there, and it corresponds with funky here. Something was up from the factory here. So, don't know what it was, but let's break out the old Dremel here and do a little bit of polishing. Again, shiny metal is always nice. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Hey, Megan. Hey, Matt. Just getting this cleaned up for a little good old-fashioned installation of bearings. Brake cleaner. Nice and clean. Everything's gonna be cool as long as you two play nice tonight, alright? Alright, children, play nice. Alright, that's pretty clean. Okay, put that aside for the moment. Let's play with this. That seal is obviously shot, so get that out of there. Hey, Bob. Family's watching. Great. Hello, Band Mail Bob family. I know. It's Matty O TV night. Got an oiler here. Let's just get the crusties off of this. There's a bunch to consider with these. Most importantly, there's this O-ring on here. Everybody says hi. Hello. So I'm going to pull this O-ring out, if I can grab it. Pull the O-ring out of there. And now that this is all bare, now I'm going to actually install this in the crankcase temporarily. Now, it's generally not a good idea to reuse those O-rings. And this one I'm a little worried about for sure because of the issue we had with the seal here. So I am most definitely not reusing it. But what I am going to do is I'm going to install this, again, temporarily, so that the bearing has a positive stop. Right, so it's not, the carburetor's not delivering fuel, Omega, that's all. Yeah, so everybody, the 272 is what I would consider fixed. It sounds good. I can set the RPM pretty much anywhere. I can set the RPM well above what's reasonable. So that's good. You should be able to set the RPM pretty much wherever you want. Obviously, it's not necessarily good for the saw, but you should be able to get in there and set it, You take it to four-stroking and beyond and back it off to where it's still four-stroking at high RPM and test it in the wood and make sure that it cleans up as soon as you bury it in wood, and then as soon as you lift it, it should go back to four-stroking. Puff smoke from the bottom of the saw? I don't know what that means. Something's wrong somewhere, obviously. So now we have a positive stop for the bearing, and we can pull the bearing in there no problem. I don't down to my last Q-tip here. That's not good. Could be the crankcase gasket, yeah. Don't know if it would smoke from the crankcase, though. That is a little weird. A little bit of anti-seize on here. I bought a pack of 10 Natchies. Now I'm down to 2. I just want it lightly in there, and then I'm going to actually pull it in with my usual puller here. Again, you need a really good assortment of washers, some 1/2-inch threaded rod, and some nuts here. I don't know where my 3/4 wrench went. Which is weird. Down there. Here's 3/4. I can use 19mm here too, but I don't know why my straight 3/4 wrench went. Hey, Ken. Crank it on down. That's a good sound. That's it. You can feel it. Say, okay, done. So now the bearing is pulled up against the oiler fully. Perfect. Now we can pull the crank in here with our usual crank tools. Bob, the only thing that I did on was it last night's video was I did a pop-off pressure test on a carburetor, and if the pop-off pressure is too low, it means it's just going to flow too much fuel. And I rarely have carburetors flow too much fuel, but the one last night from my 272 definitely did. So what I did was I actually stretched the spring under the needle there. I stretched it just a little bit, and the pop-off pressure ended up going up. And you can see how I did that last night. But yeah, the pop-off pressure went up, and apparently that was a really good thing, because now it tunes beautiful. Just going to take a little bit of Scotch-Brite here to the crank, make sure it's smooth. very smooth, no lines. Brake cleaner on that. Nice clean crank. This will get pulled through no problem. Now let's see what of the tools actually fits. I don't know. It actually looks like M10 by 1. M10 by 1. Left hand. This is the same as a steel 026, I think. Yes, I definitely advocate for the quicker picker upper. Although my favorite paper towels are actually the Kleenex Vivas. This doesn't quite go in with the oiler in the way. Now, I could, it's just bumping up against that. What you could do is actually grind out a little slot there just in case. And then it'll fit and go perfectly. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take the oiler off. Yeah, this is Patrick's 266. Well, now it's my 266, but whatever. Yes, this is Patrick's 266. Good with these screws here. Gonna have to replace these. That one's all right. This one is most definitely not okay, so let's do that right now. Let's see if I can find, these are M4. Let's see if I can find an M4 that will fit. It's a little bit long. See how I short them, not that big a deal. There we go, that'll do. 1, 2, 3. I'll throw that one out. The head's bad. what the length is. It looks like an odd size for sure. Like 14 millimeter, which is weird. I wonder if 16 fits. Sure feels like it does. They are not through hole. But yeah, it's close. Alright. I don't worry about it. Okay, so I won't worry about that right now. What I want to do right now is get the crank pulled in to the crankcase. Alright, so M10 by 1.0 looks like the thread. Actually, make sure all the burrs are off here. When do I find time? Well, the answer is tomorrow morning, all day. From 8 to 5. Sorry, Mega, not the dental channel you were looking for. That slides on there, just like that. You get a handle. Washer, if you want, and nut. The nice part about this, you don't have to wait for anything. There's no waiting to heat something up or cool something down. You can just pull this on in. So this is actually not the old school thread. So scored it over the weekend. Guy thought it was. Got it for $60. Nice. That's it. In. Reverse it. And then dismantle this whole shoe. And now your crank is in, and there's been no stress at all on the bearing, no lateral forces on the bearing, no stress in the crankcase, nothing. I did my usual anti-seize. I did not put any on the oil on the crank. You can if you want. Parts back, sleeve, rod, handle, not in the washer. I'll go back to where it came from. Now we have to do the other side. So I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to go and find the other crankcase half. So this finally came out of the ultrasonic here. It's not 100% clean, but you know what, it'll do. Oh, I'm out of Kleenexes again. And out of garbage space. While we have this attachment on here, might as well shine this up. What's the brew on the US tank today? What's the brew? I think I have a drink. I don't think I have a drink out here. Oh, in the ultrasonic tank. Actually, I was just trying some all free and clear laundry detergent. Yeah, the ultrasonic. I'm just trying laundry detergent. The mean green works pretty good, but it tends to screw up the powder coat, or screw up the powder coat, but the shine on the paint. Oh, gotta do the top too. Hey, Brandon. Yeah, Mega, they don't do everything for you. You know, it'd be nice if they made you dinner, but they don't. Um, but it's like an extra set of hands helping you wash. It doesn't clean everything perfectly, but it certainly helps. Okay, that's pretty clean. Again, same thing on this side. There's no positive stop. It's got a seal holder on this side, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to install that. Install the seal holder first. Again, let's clean up. So also on the seal holder, I'm going to take out this O-ring that's on here. I am indeed planning on replacing this. It doesn't look like it's broken, but I was pretty rough on it, mainly because I didn't know it existed. See O-ring? Anybody here I haven't given a shout out to? Yeah, it's got a plastic retainer. For the seal specifically, and I didn't know a 266 had these. And visually, when I was looking at it, it didn't look like it. It was covered in muck, admittedly, you know. Whoops. Yeah, Schmidt's cover. It was, for sure. Okay, let's do this bearing here. Put the bearing in. Just want to tap it in so it's even, that's all. That's all you're really going for. These really wide washers help. They're called fender washers. So the retainer acts as a positive stop on the bearing. And you basically can't crank, for all intents and purposes, it's really hard to screw this up. See, it's too, pulled down too tight. So you don't have to really worry about that. Actually, I'm wrong. In this case, it'll be okay, but the bearing goes up against this is not a place for fender washers. This is a place for small washers. Yeah, like that. My bad on that, because I had the fender washers on top, but you don't want that. You actually want them pressing directly on the plastic. That way you're smushing the bearing with the plastic. But it's not out of place, so this is going to be fine. Okay. So, would be better if... Mega, I don't use the Chinese seals. I tear them right out. I use the highway gasket kits on those. Comes as a nice kit with the seals and the gaskets. Now, if you want to get really picky with this, get really picky. Get out the depth mic here. Four millimeters, roughly. Probably what you're going for. Okay. Yeah, okay. So we're not within 4 millimeters, so that's fine. That should be fine. Highway is not Pharmatech, two different companies. Pharmatech is Chinese, Highway is generally Taiwan. All right. I have a gasket kit. Will it fit? I don't know. Beats me. And the thing is, Highway does these nice gasket kits that are just nice, you know. I want to see if this actually will fit. What goes in the bottom? Is that the dog? Yeah, that'll be fine. Actually, nothing goes in there. The dog goes through there. Nothing goes in that bottom hole. Why is that bottom hole there? I don't know. Okay. Whatever. So that should be fine. The vent tube. The oil tank vent is out here. Tusky 268. What's going on? I'd say let's just go for this and kind of see what happens. I don't see why this wouldn't work. So, all right, we've got this all degreased. Gonna put some goop on it. All else being equal, you don't necessarily need to use goop. You can just throw the gasket in there and go for it. But me, personally, I'm going to like the goop. Should be in US dollars. Why? Generally, I like to do the flywheel side first, because I know I'm going to be putting the gasket on the flywheel side, because that's where I'm going to be putting the positioning pins. It's just procedurally how I like to do it. You can do it however you like. But what this does is it gets, if I'm going to be putting the gasket on that side, I want that side to tack up first. So ideally you want to let this tack for just a minute. Hey, Alan. Bearing stop goes to toolkits. My Husky stuff has a stop PTO flywheel side of the same. By the way, Alan, thanks for the tip on the. And ladies and gentlemen, thank Alan for the tip on the seal retainer. I'm pretty sure Alan was the one that told me about that. There was too much gunk covering the darn thing. I couldn't see it. My bad. Let me get back to Alan's comment here in a minute. Don't really need goop all the way out there, but I don't really see anything. Okay. Fixing to buy. Mega, have you? If you have not clicked on my link, if you go to any of my regular bolt for bolt videos and go down into the description of my regular bolt for bolt, not the live stuff, but the original bolt for bolt videos, if you go into the description of the video, there'll be a link to go to HL Supply, and if you click on that, it tracks you, and anything that you buy at HL Supply in a month, I get credit for. So that's one of the ways to support the channel without having to send me super chats like Buck and Billy Ray. You know. Anyway, back to Alan's comment. Hey Matt, idea building a bearing stop that goes with the tools. My Husky stuff has a stop PTO and flywheel side. My Husky stuff has a stop. Well, the Husky tools, as far as I know, also have not just bearing stops, but seal stops, because it's a seal installer as well. Like the hats that you get with them are a seal installer as well. And just looking at all that stuff, comparatively to what I actually sell, it's quite a bit of machining. And to get all that machining done properly, it starts to get complicated. And I like to keep my stuff simple. So it's not a bad idea, Alan. Finding the time and ambition and all that stuff to go through all that. I mean, you would not believe what I went through just to get the tools that I already sell made. I know it doesn't just a puck turn. I know. I hear you. Believe me, getting something even that simple done sometimes is just not easy. On a production base, like I can go turn it no problem, but myself, but getting it done and then advertised and sold and all that, it ends up being such a pain. And everybody gets confused. If you don't have one of these guys, yeah, gotta get one. Just a little punch. Brandon, if for an 026, you need 2 rods and 2 sleeves, 120 shipped. It doesn't, for a single saw, it doesn't make much sense to get the kit, but if you're doing multiple saws, you might as well get a main kit, which does like 90% of the saw, including like this one, it'll do 90% of the saws that you need. And that's 170 shipped. Okay. Check that out. So this is M10, I think. So let's get out rod here. These are flywheel side rods. It does M10 and M8, which are basically the two most common on all the models. Yeah, and Brandon, I have stock. I do have stock right now. Yeah, Alan, I mean, no disrespect, man. You have great ideas. You wouldn't believe what I went through just to get the stuff manufactured that I've gotten manufactured. It just was such an unbelievable pain. Okay, this rod is smaller than the sleeve, but that's okay. Will it fit a TS400? Yep, should. The only way I know that is because a guy over in London told me so. The original kit I sent over to a guy in London, and he put a TS400 together, no problem. He couldn't believe it. I gotta make sure the pins are lined up. Make sure nothing's messing you up, you know. That's it. Reverse it. This one ended up a little tight. That's all right. Can't really take it much further. We'll put the bolts in, but can't take a whole lot further because I don't have the O-rings, the oiler, and whatnot. What's this so destined for? I don't know, greatness? Yeah, Megan. Loctite on these bolts here, case bolts. If you're keeping it to yourself, reaching for it more than often than not, slightly less power to not as thirsty. Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on with it, but I know this. I don't need it. I have my 272, and you know, as you guys saw, I'll tell you what, I reach for my 272 before I reach for my 372s, even as powerful as they are. Don't forget the two interiors with the dog, wherever that is. I think I put that back in the box over here. Good dog. What did I do with the dog? There it is here. Lunchtime. We are about to get ready for bed. He's over there having lunch. I haven't even had time to look them up, James. I got to get on the computer and get on e-replacement parts and see what I'm missing, and so I think we'll get it together. Just a matter of when. Oh, the ones in the package. I actually went through some of the stuff and didn't find anything. I have not been through all the newspaper stuff yet. So the rough answer is no. Here you go. So crankcase is together. Now it's a matter of finding the rest of the parts that I need, ordering stuff from e-replacement parts, and yeah, should be a pretty straightforward build. Just hope that the ignition's actually fine. That is going to be the big bugaboo here. If that's not fine, then it's an issue. At least according to Joe. So, yeah. But crankcase is back together. Now I just need to pray nothing gets into the bearings. Put that in there for the moment. So that's that. All right. Yeah, the only other thing I had for you guys was the fact that the 272 is running really good, I think. So that's great. And I think that was about it. Um, Finally got the chain to stop moving with the new clutch. And I think the pop-off pressure was definitely the ticket on the carburetor, because it definitely... You have a few? Al, yeah, thanks, Alan. I'll see what I can find. Appreciate it. Let me throw my email in here. If anybody needs anything, just Mattio5 at AOL.com. Get rid of the extra ampersands, obviously. What else? Don't really have any other builds going right now. I know the 262 that we just put together is coming back. I got to work on that carburetor. Apparently that's not flowing fuel good, so we'll figure that out. Yeah, the spring definitely fixed it. Do you get anything if I buy from Highway? No. I have an affiliate link with HL Supply. I might have an affiliate link with Highway too, but I don't have the link offhand for that. It would take me a bit to find. I'm not sure anybody's actually ever used it. But yeah, the spring fixed. Yeah, I know. The gasket kits are pretty inexpensive, and I like them. But the spring thing definitely fixed the 272. The pop-off pressure was definitely the issue, and it tones nice now. It would not get to full RPM before I closed that thing all the way, and it would not go. No, I understand, Mega. If you ever end up ordering from HL Supply, just use the link. If you would, that'd be great. If you don't, then if you don't order from them, then I don't expect people to go out of their way. You know what I mean? Right. So what? All right. Here, let me make it just easier. Let me get the link right now, and then I'll just post it here, and that way people can just click on it here, and then in the next month, if anybody actually orders from HL Supply, then I'll get credit for it. But I have to get into my account. And then pull up my affiliate page. Boom. So everybody click on that if you can. And even if you don't buy anything, if you click on it and then you do buy something within the next month, I get credit for it. So everybody just click on the link and go, and it'll automatically track you. And if you buy something in the next month, I get credit. Yeah, Husky 268. What happens is when I did my bolt for bolt videos, I actually did a lot of work with the descriptions in the videos. I spent a lot of time on that, and most people just don't even notice that I did it. So, you know, oh well. But the link is in the description of the bolt for bolt videos. It's not usually in the description of any of my live stuff because I just don't even bother. So, all right, it's time for me to sign out, go hang out with the family, and get to bed. You know, time. Oh, the one other thing I forgot for the 272, and it was in here too, is this thing for the starter. Everybody have a great night. Thanks so much for hanging out. Please, everybody, click on that silly link. I'll put it in again. Even if you don't go, hey Cody, have a great night. Yeah, even if you don't go buy something right now, it'll track you, and if you do buy something in the next month, I get credit, and that's awesome because that actually helps support the channel. And then I can buy that 288 from Chris Kringle. Anyway, everybody have a great night, and we will talk to you guys later. Appreciate it, and be safe, everybody. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.